Bam!
Jayson Waller here, True Underdog Podcast, top 3 podcasts. Thanks for subscribing. Make sure you're following us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of them. We're on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Castbox, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You name the platform, we got you there. Here's a new episode today called Underdog Bites, started from the bottom. I've got my new little cool LED protecting my eyeballs sunglasses on. So I get this little cool look like the guy from U2. He's got these cool glasses, keeps the lights out. Turn this light on right here. Bam. There we go. Make it a little brighter so you can see me. This episode is going to be the shit because we're going to talk about some quotes from the book. We're going to talk about, growing up, starting from the bottom, letting circumstances that you're in try to hold you back. And, I want to jump right into it. If you start from the bottom, you've got nowhere else to go but up. And that's a fact. When you're in the moment of being in the bottom, like living in a trailer park, or maybe you live in the projects, or maybe you're renting an apartment, you don't have a car and you got to take a bus, or maybe you do have a car, but you don't have a lot of money, or whatever your circumstances. When you live in it, you get used to it. It doesn't seem as big, believe it or not. When you get out of it and you look back, you go, whoa, it actually was kind of growing up, poor. I actually did, didn't have, my shit together. I kind of was out of it. It's like aging, becoming more mature, having more wisdom over time, looking back at the present of how much you've grown or how much you've gained, in wealth and knowledge and wisdom and laughter and gratitude, right? So you have to ask yourself, first you have to break that mold of feeling like it's bigger than life in the moment, right? So, it's right here in front of you. I live here. This is my job. This is what I've got. Then you've got to write it down on paper and determine, what are you going to do about it? What can you control to change, right? People think that growing up in bad circumstances means they're destined for failure, or living in bad circumstances, they're destined for failure. That's not true. You're not destined for failure at all, as long as you have the mindset of you can get to where you want to go, right? You create that map. Everyone starts in the bottom some way or another. Maybe you're a rich asshole. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And maybe you were given everything. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'll tell you what you're lacking is life skills. You're lacking the ability to overcome adversity, objections, problems. You don't have thick skin. You can't make tough decisions. You lean on other people to do it. And those are the things. Anybody in anybody's situation has deficiencies, right? And the best way to overcome deficiencies is experience and going through that failure and failing forward and having that pain and overcoming that, those struggles and taking it to the next level, right? People that don't take control of their lives, instead, they think their circumstances control their destiny. Think about that. Where you live does not define who you are. Where you work does not define who you are. You are your own person. And if you don't like your circumstances, you can do something about it. There are ways. There are people looking to hire people. There are opportunities every time you turn around. You're just not looking. You're too stuck in the negative and not looking at the positive. You're too stuck in looking at the glass half empty and not half full. You got to start living a different kind of mindset. You've got to wake up and think positive and take it to the next level. I don't apologize for having nice shit because I worked my ass off. Driving nice cars, going to top hotels, flying private. I worked my ass off. I earned every single ounce. There used to be a time I used to apologize for having nice shit. Like, oh, sorry. Now I'm like, no, dude, I've worked my ass off. I've bet everything. I've done everything I could. I mean, you have to be able to bet on yourself and bring goodness to fruition. You get what you put in. That's a fact. And the more you put in and the more you give and the more you push through adversity and the more hard times that you have, the more good times that you're going to have. And some quotes from my book here. Every person has stuff they hate about themselves, crappy attributes, qualities, and circumstances they think are holding them back from what they want, you included. You are capable of living the life you dream about, despite perhaps a crap start to life, a dead-end job, the size of your bank account, or your gender, race, whatever. Fill in the blank with what is wrong with you. It's basically all the same, and none of it makes a good excuse. Think about that. All of us have one of, or two, or three, or five of those things I just mentioned that we feel can hold us back. Every one of us. No different. There's things I'm like, oh, I still to this day get intimidated in certain situations. Not often. I try not to. I have to reset myself. But the time I did the roundtable with Trump, I struggled a little bit. I was in there with all these billionaires at the time, and they were all super classy and, probably went to etiquette school and, they were fancy. I'm not fancy. I'm real. I'm raw, right? That's who I am. I'm true to me. And I got a little nervous. I got a little shook up, and I had to go in, splash some water on my face and reset myself and say, dude, you're J-Dubs. You got this, baby. You got this. And then I went out and shined, chest bumping, elbow rubbing, kissing the babies. And then I asked the questions of Trump and talked to him longer than everybody else for 14 minutes. But, hanging out with all those people that were, huge supporters, all this money. And, here I am, no high school education, no college, good business. I don't have the education that everyone in that room had. But I'll tell you what I did have. I had more skill set. I had more strength. I had more tenacity because I've been through shit they've never been through. I walked my ass through the coals. They didn't. I picked myself up when I got knocked down. A lot of them didn't. A lot of them have been, old money, hand-me-down money, trust money. That's the shit that's out there. There's something to be said about first-generational wealth, people that earn it. Like they've grinded. They've got thick skin. The other thing is you get things that get in your way and you get in your own head. You go down this rabbit hole of, I'm not going to get that job because I didn't go to school. Another time I was intimidated was when I started hiring managers, that were working for me. And I was 24 years old. I had 35, 40-year-old people working for me that all had college degrees. That was intimidating. I was getting pushed around by my own employees. Like, we're going to do this. You're fine. You're like a kid. Don't worry about it. Like, I was letting that shit get to me. I'm the way I am now, like a no bullshit. Here we go. Ride or die. I've got us. We're going to win. I'm protecting our brand. I'm going to take care of the majority of the company. That's not about one. It's about all. How do we get it done? No BS attitude, hard work. Let's go. I'm that way because of all the struggles, because of all the insecurities, and because of failing forward so many times. And I remember being insecure, like, oh man, these guys are smarter than me. They just bullshit. They worked for me. Like, why was I letting them push me around and tell me what they're going to do and what they're not going to do? I lost at one meeting and had to straighten that shit out and kind of took by the bull by the horns then. And then it's been several times, when I went for the EY Entrepreneur of the Year Award, I was one of the first ones to not go to college or finish high school to be nominated and then won. I mean, I was intimidated. I was around all these college educated people. I had to reverse that. I was going to meet with judges and I was like, what am I going to say? How am I going to do that? So what did I do? I used it to my advantage. That's right. I used it to my advantage. I explained to them why I should win the award because I bootstrapped the business. Because I didn't go to an Ivy League school. Shit, I didn't go to any school. And how nobody gave me nothing. That I sacrificed my home and I sacrificed all my money and I bet on myself and I worked my ass off. And that's why I won. Because I showed them what I was able to do. And I've told my story about starting from the bottom. This episode is starting from the bottom. All of us somehow in our life are at the bottom of something. Maybe you're rich as hell, but you're at the bottom of your relationship. Maybe you're broke as hell. Your relationship and life is great, but you're at the bottom of your business or making your income stream. We all have bottoms in our life. And we all start there. And the only way really truly to go is up. But you have to change your mindset to go up. You can't sit there and let everything else dictate you. I got another quote from the book. The big question that had to be answered: how did I crack the underdog code to become the alpha I was born and we all are born to be? The simple answer: I believed I could and I went after it. As for how I did it comes down to the principles I have laid out in this book. When reality kicked the crap out of me, the principles were what I had put my head down and keep going. Think about that. So in that book, it's called right there, Jones, Own Your Power Book. It's no bullshit, no excuses. Your time is now. You pre-order at Amazon. It's already Amazon's #1 release, right? And the hardback and the paperback come out in January, but you can pre-order the book right now on Amazon and get the audiobook sometime in October. But the point to this is cracking the code is all I do is I share stories about not having anything. People making fun of me having Tommy Hilfigers. People making fun of my first car, which was $300 and the insulation was falling off the bottom. And I had hubcaps. I didn't have rims. I had hubcaps, and I would armor roll my hubcaps and think I was the shit. I'd crank music. The stereo system that I saved my money to put in the car was worth 5 times what the car was worth. Like I was broke. That's what happens sometimes, right? Whatever your situation is, you don't realize it's bad. And that's good that part of you doesn't realize it's bad. But because you don't realize it's bad, some of you stay in that bullshit. You don't change it. I didn't chase money, but I chased losing. I chased feeling like a loser. I chased people judging me for something I couldn't control. Sound familiar? You can't control what color you are, what race you are, what gender you are, how tall you are. You can somewhat control your weight, but sometimes you can't. You couldn't control that you didn't have money growing up or you were poor. Like, those are things you can't control. And as a child, and then as a young adult, I was actually judged and limited because of what these people around me made me feel like and things that I couldn't control. So I thought. I couldn't control I grew up broke, but I could change that. I couldn't control when I worked at a corporate America job and I wasn't getting promoted because of my age. Like, what do you mean? And because of my education, I'm the best one for the job. I'm the number one person. Why aren't I getting promoted? I kept getting passed over in 2 different companies. Like, who's this asshole, 19 years old, working with 40-year-olds crushing it? We're not promoting him. Who's this asshole, 21 years old, like 2 years later, another company? Like, that's what happens. But guess what? I did something about it. I said, you know what? I'm tired of being handcuffed and me not getting a promotion for something, again, I can't control. So I started from the bottom again. I felt like I had to go up. I had to take the stairs. I had to find what I wanted to do and be passionate about. Some of the actionable items in this episode we want to talk about is make your own map. Think about that. When you get up every day, you decide which way you're going to go. You decide if you're going to go to that job. You decide if you still want to be married. You decide if you're going to open a new company or enroll at school or ask that girl or guy out. Like, that is your decision. It's your decision. Let's make your own map. You get to write your story. It's your story. Don't let the outside world write your story. You write it. 2, don't make excuses. We all have bullshit. Every one of us. Somebody who tells you they don't have any bullshit are full of shit. Everybody's got bullshit. I've never met anybody that was real because they all put on this persona. Oh, my life's great. It's like Leave It to Beaver and I go home and everything. That bullshit. Everybody's got stuff. Everybody. They social media. Oh, my world is great. I'm going to filter and take 40 pounds off myself and show myself 30 years younger. And everyone's going to think my life is great. No, you're an insecure son of a bitch and you shouldn't do that. You should probably keep it real or don't post bullshit. Like, just be real. You don't have to be fake. Who are you trying to impress? You want people to like you for something that's fake? Then they don't like you. They like fake shit. Where are you going with this? Why are you so insecure? Like, those are the questions you that don't want to be that way need to ask. Like, why are these people like this? And then jump out of that bullshit. Don't fall into that trap because then you're dictated of everybody else writing your map. And when you make excuses that you can't do better, you're limiting yourself. You can't try harder, you're limiting yourself. Everybody can do better every single day. If you're better 1% more every day, you're so much better after a year. 365% better, actually. Like, you have to not make excuses. There are things we can't control. You can't control if someone doesn't hire you. You can't control certain abilities that you have or skill sets that you've been given. You can't control that. But what you can do is find out what you're really great at and what you love. And you can combine those two and really start to make some big differences in your life. But when you sit there and you blame everybody else and you sit in the mud and you're wallowing in your own shit, you're making excuses. You're not living, you're dying. It's time to start living. You need to take control of your destiny. Realize that you can do anything that you put your mind to. Anybody can. How can I build a $1 billion company, write a book, have a top 3 podcast, do all these wonderful things? I mean, life is surreal sometimes. Now, I still have a lot of bullshit going on. I've got family problems. I'm a normal person. I get upset. I get depressed. I can cry. I get angry. I cuss. Like, I'm normal. I'm normal just like you. We are normal. We have different things that we do every day and different life standards. That's it. You pick. You get to write your map and do your destiny. So quit making excuses. Realize and understand that starting from the bottom can help you in the long run. I have no regrets. There are some bad decisions or unhealthy decisions that maybe I've made along the way. but I learned from them. So I failed forward. They made me stronger. They made me smarter. They made me wiser. They gave me knowledge, and knowledge is the key. Had I not failed all those times, I wouldn't be so successful. Had I not failed all those times, I wouldn't be able to do the things I'm able to do now. I would be limited. You almost have to want to fail and just get it all done so you can take all those lessons you learn and that knowledge and then take it to the next level. You can do anything you want in life, even if the odds are against you, and that's a fact. So I want you to listen one more time. Starting from the bottom is okay. In fact, I think it's the best way. So I want you to look yourself in the mirror when you're ready, when you're hungry, when you're ready to take it to the next level. I want you to make your own map. I don't want you to make excuses anymore. I want you to change what you're doing out there. Don't let other people control it. I'm asking you right now to step up and make a difference every single day. Push forward more than you did yesterday, just a little bit. Don't quit on yourself a little bit more today than you did yesterday, just a little bit. And if you keep that mindset, things will start to be positive for you. You'll start to go in the right direction. Bam!
And that concludes another episode here on True Underdog. If you're interested in hearing more, make sure you subscribe at iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the YouTube channel. You can always visit TrueUnderdog.com, subscribe to all of them. Make sure you check out our newest episodes coming out on Mondays and Thursdays. True Underdog, baby. Bam!